never been down with no OPP. I talk about selling our people's property. Don't know who doing it, so don't round me out. Don't send no police round me and tell me shush my mouth. Where's our conviction? But where's our pride? We selling everything, selling our backside. Just go online, it'll make you sick. You can buy any island, just point and click. See, they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our hey, hey. Ride him. My mother always say when you find a donkey, ride it. Lose donkey. What? Come on. We got a whole nation in 73. Now we getting back the whole country. What kind of fools we must be, selling out for a bag of rice and a cup of tea. You know what does bug me? Help me understand. I can't find piece of property for under 80 grand, but I can fix this. I know what to do. I can squat just like them other people try make me do. See, they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our they're selling our country. They're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our I get everybody sell some every day. They're selling one island, be it they won't keep. What can be left for you and me? Is this the example? What's our kids to do? You want them have a sense of pride, or go selling too? Cause they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our they're selling our country, yes man. They're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling our they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling
Whoa, girls, we out doing
We know you're watching. We can feel you. We know that you are afraid. Afraid of us. You're afraid of change. You're afraid of what happens when the Bahamian people find out that you've lied to them. I'm going to hang up this phone, and we are going to tell them everything. We are going to tell them who they are and what you took from them. Change is not coming. Change is here.
fellow Bahamians. You have been lied to. You have been told that you are poor. That you have no wealth and no resources. You have been told that your natural resources are worth nothing. You've been told that even if you had natural resources that only the wealthy could afford to mine and process it. While you were struggling to survive, they were secretly shipping billions of tons of your natural resources out of the country. It's time to learn the truth. It's time to end this myth. There is a dangerous cohort called the oligarchs. They have been using your beloved politicians as puppets to do their bidding. To distract you with rallies, handouts and jobs while they ran off with your riches. So the question is, how do you get your resources out of the hands of the oligarchs and into the hands of the Bahamian people? It's easier than you think. Today, I have come as the bearer of good news. And that is that change is not coming, change is here.
Good evening, my fellow Bahamians. Good evening, good evening. It is so good to have you here. It is always a pleasure to be with you. It is Tuesday, April 30th, in the year of our Lord 2024. And we're going to have a serious one today. I'm going to get straight to the point. We've had almost 11 minutes of intro, and I want to get straight to the point so that we can get this information I know you've been waiting for a long time. Make sure that you trick the algorithms by sharing, liking. Make sure you press those little notifications if you're, like buttons on Facebook if you're on there. Continuously press them, let them go up, so the algorithm will think the video is important, and it'll overrun what the government is trying to do. So do your part and make sure you keep liking and sharing and tagging so that everyone knows that this is where they need to be. All right. So let me do a quick @ followers so I could get all of my followers here. So everybody who is on here, go in your tag your followers, click @ followers and get your followers in here. Just by tagging @ followers, it's going to get your followers in here and allow them to know exactly where they should be. You can always also do an @ highlight so we can get persons in here. The government and the media doesn't want this to get out. So we got to do what we can to make sure that this gets out. All right. So, yes, that's it. I see you, Candy, hand up, putting your @ followers. All right. I see them doing it. All right. @ followers, @ highlight. You can do both of them. Make sure everyone that knows that we are here. Persons are not getting the notifications anymore. So most of the time they don't know that I'm live. I have people saying that Lincoln is going quiet. No, I'm live every week, but people aren't getting the notifications because they are blocking them. So make sure you @ highlight or you @ followers to make sure you get in here. I've had a wonderful week. I want to thank all of you who've been calling for your support, giving your support, hence the condition. We've begun to move. We've started meeting with our candidates. We're going to get ready to start rolling out our candidates. We've been on the move, getting things done. And so I want to thank you for making this possible. The COI is you. The COI is a movement of the Bahamian people who are fed up and who are tired of the PLP and FNM. And we want this to be not about party this time, but about the Bahamian people for once. They always promise you that, but they never give it to you because the PLP and the FNM are one. And so we gotta educate you to what's going on. I promise you from the beginning, all right? I promise you from the beginning of all of this that I promise you from the beginning that I will always inform you of how they are raping you and robbing you. I promise you that, and that is what I'm going to continue to do. We're always going to talk about our natural resources and all this kind of stuff, but we're also going to make sure that you are fully aware of what's going on in this country. And so we thank you for coming here and helping to share the message, the good news of the new Bahamas. Okay, see, now I see the numbers are going up because you are doing your ad highlights and ad followers. All right, so, all right, awesome. So we got persons here on Bahamian Evolution, on YouTube, on, yes, on all the pages. Okay, everyone is coming in. All right, awesome. Here we go. So, all right, so ladies and gentlemen, we came here to talk about BPL today because there's something that just doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. You know, and only in the Commonwealth of Narnia could something like this even be possible. You know, the country where nothing makes sense and nothing really works. How could it be possible for a company, any company, to have a monopoly in any country, even Haiti, any country, and be technically bankrupt and be broke? How is that humanly possible? How is that possible to the point where we don't even question that? Tonight, you're going to find out why. We're going to look at some documents. We're going to jump in this time machine. You know, I'm good at time traveling. And we're going to dig up some documents from 1956. We're going to dig up some documents from 1956. And you're going to see where it all began. Ladies and gentlemen, you are the only person who can sell anything in a country. Let's say you're the only person who can sell shirts. How could you be bankrupt and $1 billion in debt? If you're the only person who can sell water in your country, how could you be bankrupt? Someone says 1956 is the year they were born. I was born about 20 years after you. Wow. How, if you're the only person who can sell numbers, for example, let's say only flowers could exist. Let's say only Sebastian Adrian could exist. How could it be possible for them to be bankrupt? How is that even humanly possible? That's impossible. Let's say you're the only person with a food store. Say bad money management. No, I beg to differ. They know how to manage money, but they know better how to thief money. We get to that in a minute. Yeah, I'm talking to the comments today because I want to see what you all have to say about this BPL thing. Because, I mean, the FNM is having convention. The PLP just had a convention. They're about to head into election early next year. And they want to say to vote for them again. And this is why I thought it's so important to do to let you see exactly what's going on. All right? Because these governments have been so incompetent and corrupt and outright crooked that how could they expect us to keep voting for them forever and ever? Amen. Like, seriously, in all these years from 1956 to now, y'all can't get BEC together? much years are there, someone? Someone calculate that. 1956 to now. Is that 68 years? How much years is that? Someone please let me know. How could you not get that together by now? That should be a multi-billion-dollar unicorn company ready to go on the New York Stock Exchange. 68 years. And instead of growth, y'all are bankrupt? That's crazy. And so these people are telling us to keep voting for them to get more failure. There's no plan for BPL. They're talking about selling it out. But when you hear what I'm about to tell you and show you what I'm about to show you, make sure you're sitting down. I'm going to get to that. But they haven't built a hospital in since the 1950s. Since the 1950s. Princess Margaret Hospital was built in the 1950s by the then UBP government. The Rand Memorial Hospital, don't think the government opened that, was opened in 1969 as a private facility. Company built that. The UBP built Prince Margaret Hospital. The Rand Memorial Hospital in Grand Bahama was built in 1969 as a private facility. And then it became a public facility in 1971. All right? It was known as the Grand Bahama Clinic when it was opened as a private facility. That's Rand. The Grand Bahama Clinic, for those of you who were alive at the time, or you students of history like me. Then in 1971, it became a public hospital. So in all this time, y'all couldn't build one hospital. And now y'all talking about building a maternity center for women and for children instead of building a hospital for $200 million. And the Chinese is allegedly getting that deal. Y'all can't build us a hospital in this new day? With all this 9 million tourists coming in, all this bragging of the good economy that y'all have, y'all can't build us a hospital? Y'all had plans to build a $90 million prison, but you can't build us a hospital? Okay. So vote for you after all these years of failure. Vote for you because you did a water company that is also basically bankrupt. Water. Did you know that BEC originally sold water to the Bahamian people? I bet you didn't know that. BEC originally sold water to the Bahamian people. That may shock a lot of people. BEC originally sold water, but now they've built a company that the water company is buying water from others. It's not working. And these guys are the ones who are behind all of the failure. And they're coming back and saying, vote for us some more. Vote for us some more. We need to be able to, we have a right to fail some more. Should we allow these guys to continue failing? That's the question. I don't think so. I don't know about you, but I tired of them. Like I said, I don't know about you, but I tired of them. So they want to build a water company that's failing, right? They have a water company that's failing. I'm going to get to the point in a minute. They have an educational system that is a D average. I don't see anything to brag about. I don't see any reason to vote for the PLP and F&M again. Maybe you do. I don't. We have horrible roads. Nothing works in this country. But they're saying vote PLP, vote F&M. So now let's get to the point. I've shown you some of the crooks, the criminals who have been behind this, but it started actually before the gentleman you just saw on the screen. It started before them. Now, I'm going to take you back. Let's get in this time machine and let's get ready to go back in time. All right? We're hearing now that they're going to sell BPL. All right? But what they're doing is they're saying that they're not going to sell it outright, but they're going to sell the elements of it, the distribution, the generation, etc. That's what they're going to sell. All right. So basically, that's like you have a restaurant, but you inherited it from your dad, and your dad put in the will that you can't ever sell the restaurant. So what you do is you don't sell the restaurant. You decide you can sell all the stuff in the restaurant. Let me sell the stove and everything valuable in there, sell everything out of the fridge, sell the freezers, sell all the tables and chairs, and et cetera, et cetera. But we still got the restaurant, so dad's bill is okay. All right? So they're not selling the BPL. They're selling everything it does. So what they're doing is now, another analogy, which is a better one, is that you have the restaurant, your dad said, don't sell it. So you say, okay, we're not going to sell it. I'm going to let someone else cook and generate the money then. And they're going to make the money in the kitchen. Someone else is going to serve the food, and they're going to make the money serving the food. You see? Someone else is going to park the cars while they park the cars, and they're going to make the money by parking the car. So technically, I sell the restaurant. It's still my restaurant. But just the money generation part of it, I'm going to give all of that away because I'm not interested. You see what really they're doing? And guess what? One thing doesn't make sense. A monopoly should never be bankrupt. That's one. Two, why would you have a business and sell all the money-generating parts of your business? But we're going to sit down and let this happen and do nothing. Well. So that brings us to the point. I'm going to start from the back and come back to the front. Make sure you're sitting down. Did you know that according to the first Electricity Act, BPL is not allowed to be sold? It is unlawful to sell BPL. Sorry, BEC. BEC is not allowed to be sold. Did you know that? I think you didn't. All of our politicians know that the law says BEC cannot be sold. And so when you saw them change the name to BPL, it was because BEC cannot be sold according to law. And so I'm going to show you the two acts they did recently to try to circumvent this. The act that Minister did, the first act, the Electricity Act, when they modified the old act, and they made for BPL to be possible, and then the next act that they're doing now. I want you to see something in the act. All right, I'm going to share the original BPL, the original Electricity Act around. But the reason they did a BPL is because BEC can't be sold. It must continue forever. And you cannot touch it. You cannot sell its assets. You cannot sell shares in it. You can't do anything with it. That was a protection put in place to make sure that was in the hands of the Bahamian people forever. BEC. And that's why they tried to circumvent it. But they never explained that to you when it was done. Every politician in the House of Assembly knows that. But they never explained the truth to the Bahamian people on why they're doing things. They would come and say these strange things and do these strange things. No one said, well, why do y'all just need to change the name? If you're already BEC, what's the point of just a name change? Why? And we just let them do it. I don't ask any questions. I'm going to take you to the act quick to really highlight some things that these people, these criminals were doing. And then I'm going to take you to some documents that show you some even stranger things. Strange things. All right, let me just make sure I pull up the right one for you. Okay, it's the newest one. Let me get you the oldest one. All right, so we're going to go straight to the paperwork. All right, so come with me. Jump in this time machine and let's go back. BEC was never supposed to be sold. All right, now they cannot sell it. I'm going to show you some stuff right now. Because they cannot sell it, that's why they've been acting the way they're acting. So, all right, let's go here. They were also not supposed to sell Batelco, but notice what they did. They formed a new company and they did a new act that said, we're changing the name from Batelco, which they weren't changing the name. Batelco still exists. They created a new company and then did an asset transfer to BTC. All right, these are the tricks they've been playing to rob the Bahamian people. But in the new act, they said BTC cannot be sold by credit. And that's how Ingram was able to reverse what Bradley Roberts and them was doing. They were trying to sell BTC to themselves. All right. Remember, first, everyone protested and said, Ingram, that's in the 90s, Ingram can't sell it. They had the big protests on Bay Street, and they said, you can't sell it. They threw bear and peanut on Ingram, and then they told him to get lost. You're not selling it. And so he retracted. He didn't sell it anymore. But then when the PLP got in, they tried to sell it to themselves, to a company called Blue Water. And they were selling it on credit, which means they were just thieving it. They say, we can sell it to ourselves. It's Bradley Roberts them. We can sell it to ourselves for free, for credit, this amount, but we can pay later on credit. So they was going to pay from the money they made from it and end up stealing this by getting it free, legally stealing it. But when Ingham came in, he stopped reviewing, canceled, and because the law said you couldn't sell it on credit. And so he was able to reverse the Blue Water deal. Now, so that's how they keep changing the name of these companies and creating different companies. They're not just changing the name, they're creating new companies to do their dirty work. I'm going to show you a lot tonight. Y'all hang with me tonight. This is important. This is the future of our nation. Hang in the balance. Okay. So this document here was the Electricity Act that they amended in 2017. This is what Minnis and those did. So Minnis and those, man, that original act was ironclad. All right, the UBP and them had that ironclad. Now, Minnis and them came and made some changes. All right, so I want you to see Section 8 of this act. Section 8 of this act. Very interesting. When you go straight, well, let me read what the act is about first. An act to overhaul the energy sector and establish a sector policy governing the supply of electricity consistent with the goals of the National Energy Policy to create an electricity supply regime that promotes diversification and competition in the generation. Now, all this is fluff talk. They ain't interested in none of this. None of this they are interested in. They are only interested in stealing from the Bahamian people. All right? Supply and generation electricity to provide for the incorporation by the Bahamas Electricity Company of a subsidiary and the transfer to the subsidiary of the functions of generation. Hold on. To provide for the incorporation by the Bahamas Electricity Corporation of a subsidiary. Oh, so this act was to create a subsidiary. You see that? A subsidiary. Of the and to transfer to the subsidiary of the functions of generation, transmission, distribution, and the supply of electricity to established utilities regulation company. So there's giving ERCA power here. But notice what they were doing. They weren't transferring ownership. They were just transferring the subsidiary, the functions of generation, the functions. They were transferring the functions. You see, that's important to pay attention to. The functions of generation, transmission, and distribution. So they can't sell it. So they did a whole act to say we could just take the functions of generation, transmission, and distribution in the supply of electricity. And then they put ERCA here and to monetize and all this other stuff, just fluff. But that is what they were really doing. All right? And so let's go down to, see, Bahamas Electricity Corporation or the corporations, or anywhere you see the corporation of BEC, means the body incorporated under Section 8 of the Act. All right? Bahamas Power and Light, or BPL, means a subsidiary company of the corporation incorporated under the Companies Act, pursuant to Sections 11 and 12, so the Companies Act. Okay, perfect. All right, let me keep going. All right, let's go to Section 8. It's class in session. This is why I'm going to show you why you're paying all these bills. Organization of electricity sector. This is how they started. Continuation of operation. Look at this. The Bahamas Electricity Corporation, established under Section 3 of the repealed Act, continues to exist as a body corporate for the purposes of and shall be governed in accordance with this Act. Hold on. This Act was to create BPL. But notice they had to state in here, otherwise they'll be blatantly breaking the law, because the original act says BPL cannot be sold. They put in here, the Bahamas Electricity Corporation, established under Section 3 of the Repeal Act, continues to exist as a body corporate. I thought y'all switched from BEC. It continues to exist. Why, if we switch to BPL? Because BEC can never be sold, bought or sold, nor its stock or shares or anything else. Next, the corporate has the functions and powers conferred or assigned by this act until such functions, powers are transferred to BPL in accordance with this part. It has the functions and powers, all right? Notice it ain't no ownership shift. There's no ownership, but just the functions and powers, all right? They're switching to BPL, all right? The corporation shall be governed by the board consisting of a minimum of, and that's where they go into the breakdown. There's more I want to show you here, but let me take you to the next act. Let me take you to the next act. Okay? Now, this is the one that they're doing now. April 2024, electricity bill. It'll become the Electricity Act 2024 once it's finally signed by the Governor General. And so let's go to this one. Now, I saw the news covered this and about how ERCA won't have any power for 3 years to stop them from changing prices, etc. I saw that the news covered certain things, so I won't cover them today. I wanted to cover you the stuff that no one has covered, all right, to make this important. But the reason they're taking the powers of ERCA is because they're trying to sell these functions, and in order to satisfy the persons they're selling these functions to, those persons want to be able to raise and lower their prices as they please, and there's some other reasons, sinister reasons that they're doing it, all right? So This one, a bill for an act to modernize and consolidate the law relating to the supply of electricity and to repeal the Electricity Act, Chapter 194, and for connected matters. Okay? That's what they say. Now, let's go down to Section 9. Let's go down to Section 9. Now, pay attention. That's it? No, it's Section 8, sorry. Same thing as another one. Section 8. Continuation of the Bahamas Electricity Corporation. Oh, this new act is saying the same thing. The Bahamas Electricity Corporation, continued under Section 8 of the repealed act, shall continue as a body corporate with perpetual succession. Perpetual means forever. Succession. And a common seal, and with power to acquire, hold, and dispose of property, to enter into contracts, to sue, and to be sued in its said name, and shall be governed in accordance with the act. Wow. So BEC can never go away. And they had to put it in the previous act, and they had to put it in this act. That's very, very interesting. So they can't touch it. Okay. Let me show you how deep it was that they couldn't touch it. All right. In 1956 is when the act was created. In 1961, the UBP decided that they wanted to start the rape and robbery of BEC. So they figured a way to touch it, even though they had already been stuck with certain things that were in the original act, to not be able to sell it, to touch the shares, et cetera, et cetera. They figured in their day, all we got to do, because the borrower is slave to the lender, all we have to do is give it a loan, a perpetual loan that won't really go anywhere. And then we get from the profits of BPL. And that's the first part of the concoction to start stealing from BEC. Sorry, when I say BPL, I'm talking about BEC. That was the first part of it. And so they called it a loan, and they created a company in the Bahamas, and then did the deal outside of the Bahamas. This is them trying to circumvent everything. But you see, they just do enough to circumvent it. But what they do is just try to keep themselves in power, because they know that if it's ever challenged, that they would be wrong. The same thing as the PLP and FNM, what they're doing with BEC, it can now be challenged because persons just didn't know that BEC couldn't be sold, and they are trying to find ways to circumvent the rules by creating this subsidiary and putting things in the subsidiary. And that's why they try to keep themselves in power, because only them two know the crookery that they've been doing, and you're about to see it. Only them know the back and forth crookery that they've been doing. And so if any other third party ever gets in, they know that they're in trouble, and they know that their house of cards is going to fall down. So they have to pretend to be against each other, to pretend to be a different entity, while we keep voting back and forth for them, while they're benefiting from everything. And they just find ways to suck money out of these corporations. Well, here's where it starts. But before I show you that, let me remind you of something. A lot of people talk about Haiti and why Haiti is in the situation it's in. They say that Haiti started out with a loan that they had to pay back to France for taking away their slaves, which were the Asian people. They had to pay France back a loan, but they had to get the loan from France in order to pay France back. All right? So let me say that the right way. They had to pay France because France lost their slaves. And they had to get the loan from France to pay France. So it's called the double whammy. All right? And so they were double hit. And so they just finished paying that off recently, and it put them at such a disadvantage that they were never able to recover, and they were in poverty for all those years. Well, BEC started with something similar. BEC started off with a loan that the UBP arranged and the PLP allowed to continue. And I'm going to show it to you. BPL is bankrupt today. One of the reasons is because they started out in the red. Look, what they did was in 1961, they did what they call the Bahamas Electricity Corporation loan. They had to create an act for this to try to legalize it because it was illegal for BEC to give out any shares or to do any stocks or anything, or for its assets to be transferred to anyone. And so that's what they had to do. And that's why they have BPL. So what they're saying is the assets of BEC weren't really transferred to an outsider because BPL is a subsidiary of BEC. So they're saying that it's still with BEC. That's why BEC must continue to exist while we rape it and rob it. So the things we want to do with BPL, we can't do with BEC, but we can do it with BPL. That's what they're saying, but actually technically they're wrong. They're lying. It should not happen, but they're trying to find a scapegoat way to do it. And guess what? They're not going to sue themselves. They're not going to lock themselves up. The PLP and FNM are one working together, and all of them know this, and they benefit because they benefit from selling the oil to BPL. And now the solar generation is coming up. So let's look at this. Right? Bahamas Electricity Corporation loan. An act to provide for the raising of a loan by the Bahamas Electricity Corporation by the issue of debenture stock. Let me explain that to you. And they use words that regular people won't understand. Debenture stock, right there, means a stock that is not secured by anything. In order to give BEC this loan, they could not have this loan to have capital behind it or any kind of security, because that's not allowed with BEC. And so they had to do debenture stock to do it. Debenture stock means stock that's not really attached directly to the company or anything backing it or anything. And so in order to make this work, it says that to provide for payments of interest and the principal secured by such stock to be guaranteed by the government. So in order to make this work, that had to be guaranteed by the government, because you can't hold on BEC's property. You can't hold on anything. It's guaranteed by the government of the Bahama Islands. It says, and to declare certain terms and conditions applicable to the stock. All right. And so let's just go through this a little bit. All right. And so they had to do debenture stock, as you can see here. And they're talking about whereas this and whereas that. Look at this. It says, whereas Corbin International Company Limited, a company incorporated in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Oh, who's this Corbin International Trading Company that was giving this money to BEC? Is that a company that was just like Bradley Robert and them company, like Blue Waters, that was just a company of politicians? Or a company that partnered with the politicians in order to get this dirty work done? Yep. Corbin International Trading Company Limited. They were Canadians working along with the UBP government in order to find a way to continue to suck money out of BEC. The smart way. All right. So they agreed to purchase the debenture stock of the Bahamas Electricity Corporation, whereas the agreement of Corbin to purchase the said debenture stock, Electricity Corporation, is conditional entirely on the government guaranteeing. So it's conditional on the government guaranteeing, all right, the payment by the Bahamas Electricity Corporation of the interest and aggregate principal. So it's the interest where they can make money. Boy, I can break down some numbers for y'all in a second, and it's going to be interesting, all right? And they talk about how the act is going to be cited, etc. All right. And so dollars, they were doing US dollars at this time. All right. So the first thing they do here is they must try to make this thing legal, because it wasn't legal for BEC to operate in this way. So guess what the first thing they had to say after the definitions? It's the first law, the first part of the act, section 3. Whatever comes after the definition is important. After the definitions, look what section 3 says. It shall be lawful for the corporation to issue debenture stock, the terms of issue of which shall provide entirely the following. So if they have to state that it shall be lawful, doesn't that tell you that it wasn't lawful before this? They started out by saying, it shall be lawful. Wow. How much acts you see start like that? Because they were not supposed to touch anything. And so it should be lawful to have these debenture stocks, all right, which is attached to nothing, and the government just takes this. The debenture stock shall be the principal sum of $11 million. $11 million. You heard it? $11 million is what they were borrowing. Now remember, this is 1956. So $11 million is like $113 million in today's money. So they started out in a serious hole. What company needed $113 million back in those days? What you need that for? What were you doing? There wasn't any big expansion. Up to the time the F&M took over in 1992, most of our islands didn't even have light. So didn't you take this money and do this big expansion of light all over the country? No, you didn't. What was this money for? That's very interesting. All right. So the inflation rate, okay, it's $114 million, over $114 million today in today's money. All right, just making sure that was correct. The debenture stock shall be dated the first day of June 1961, and it will be payable on the first day of August 1981. Hold on the principal for 20 years, but then they pay the interest, is what they're saying. So this is the principal, y'all on that, and just pay us the interest. All right, that's the kind of deal they made. So the interest is what they were worried about. All right, so here I'm not going to read through all of this, but they were worried about the interest. All right, the interest, and all of this is numbers and what had to be paid and what didn't have to be paid. This was all about sucking money. The debenture stock shall secure the right to the interest at a rate of 5 1/2% term, 1/2% per annum. All right, for 20 years. So they were paying. Let me show you the demonic part about this. The debenture stock shall secure the right to interest at the rate of 5 1/2%, so that's 5.5% on the principal sum secured by the debenture stock for the first day of June, stock from the first day of June until redemption. So in other words, normally when you pay a loan back, you pay the interest on what's left to pay, in a lot of cases, most cases. But they would continue for that 20 years to pay interest on the initial 11 million. So even when they cut it down to 5 million, they could still pay 5.5% on the 11 million. All right. So not on what's left, but on the 11. No matter how long that takes. So for 20 years, every month, On the first day of June, they will pay the interest on the 11 million. All right? This is how a corporation started. We started out being raped. The debenture stock issue after issue shall be sold by corporation to the company in the city of Montreal, in the province of Quebec, in Canada. So, if that's a Bahamian company that was lending them the money, why did y'all sign the deal in Quebec, Canada? Remember how when we was doing the documentaries, I showed you how they would do these deals out of the country? Like how we had to go to New York to get certain documents and to England to get certain documents, etc. They would do it out of the country. So it'd be hard to get your hands on the documents. Because what do the crooks in politics say? Well, if you don't have the proof, if you don't have the evidence, then you can't accuse us of nothing. So they make sure keep the evidence out of the country. They signed the deal in Montreal, Quebec, etc. And so I want to do the maths. All right. They start talking about the payments of the interest and all this. It gets really interesting, but I don't read through all this because of time. All right. But I want to do the maths for you. There's some serious maths right here. I want to look at you while I'm doing this. There's some serious maths. That Corbin company made some crazy money. Some crazy, crazy money. On the backs of the Bahamian people. On the backs of the Bahamian people. And so basically they were being paid 5.5%. And if for some reason it could actually go to 6% or some other percentage. You know how loans go and punishment, etc. All right. But they didn't have to pay the 11 million. All right. They didn't have to pay the 11 million. They paid 92%. All right. It's right there. I should have shown you that part of it. Sorry, 91.2% of the 11 million they had to have available. But BEC paid the 5% on 11 million. And so at the end of it, Corbin would have made a hefty sum, $23.1 million. $23.1 million. Now, in today's money, that's 200. Sorry, let me make sure I get the right numbers for you. In today's money, let me make sure I calculate that for you right. Yes, in today's money, that is $291 million. So $91.76 million. So that's almost $300 million. So they made almost $300 million plus, because there was more fees and other stuff that they were making. That's just from the payment of the principal. That's over $250 million. It's almost $1/3 billion that they made. That BEC started out in this serious debt. And they were not concerned about the principal. They were only concerned about the payments they were getting. That's how serious this is. All right? There's some serious stuff. And so I need you all to focus with me for a second, because I want you to get an idea of how this nonsense works. All right? I want to show you something. Everybody, get in your seats. Everybody sit down. I know you're a little hyper right now, but everybody sit down. Hold on. Yeah, right here. Everybody sit down. All right. So their thing was secured on the payments of BEC. All right, trying to rush through this, but it was secured on the payments of BEC. I want you to see this here. Public Board of Works for New Providence. Upon the coming into operation of this act, the board shall enter into an agreement with the corporation whereby the board will undertake to purchase all fresh water produced from time to time by the corporation and available for sale, and to pay the corporation for the same at a rate sufficient to defray all costs. So BEC was selling water. All right, it's just a little trip in time because I like to educate my people. All right, the corporation shall pay all reasonable expenses incurred, etc., all legal fees. So they had to pay everything for this deal. Normally, when you're doing a deal, both sides have to pay something. All right, and then they did a kind of mortgage, kind of deed bond with this thing in order to continue to rate the people. They had to pay all the trustees' fees. They had to pay a finder's fee equivalent to $100,000 to ED Sassoon Banking Company Limited. So a finder's fee. So when BTC was sold, when Ingram finally sold it, there was a finder's fee that someone got. Also, it was big money. And so there was a finder's fee here of $100,000. That's like, what is that today? $1.3 million or something like that today. All right, someone just got cash in 1956. Imagine that. All right. And so let's go to page 7. Page 7. And they didn't have to pay any taxes, anything as it relates to this deal. All right. And so this was just a freebie deal. Now watch this. That's it. F. So the government gave a covenant, all right? A covenant by the government that so long as any debenture stock remains unredeemed. So if one share, one stock remains unredeemed in this deal, all ordinary stock issued to the government pursuant to the provisions of paragraph 6 of section 28 of the Act, it's the Electricity Act, shall remain vested in the government and shall not be transferred, charged, or otherwise disposed of. So as long as any part of this exists remotely anywhere, because BEC never paid off its debt. So this thing continues. And as long as any part of this is still in existence, the government is bound that all ordinary stock issued to the government pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 6, Section 28 of the Act, meaning Electricity Act, shall remain vested in the government and shall not be transferred, charged, or otherwise disposed of. The government can't sell or transfer its stock. So not only does the first act say that, this act, which was the Loan Act, also says that. So now do you see why BEC can't be sold? Now do you see why they're breaking up the company and taking the valuable stuff out of there? You see? So this is a part of it. So I wanted you to see that. They are stuck. But what they're trying to do, as the robbers that they are, is they're trying to pull everything of value from BEC. We have to protect this. And they're giving it to their people. So, Bombers, are you paying attention? Now, I want to bring this back to today. All right? I want to bring this back to today because there's something fishy that they did recently that none of y'all paid attention to. All of us missed it. And they had this thing that they keep repeating over and over in the news. It was called a rate reduction bond. Remember hearing that? Anyone remembers hearing this thing over and over from them? rate reduction bond. But they weren't really explaining what is a rate reduction bond. What are you all talking about? What is that? Is that some kind of new thing? And they would never explain it, They just kept repeating it as if, you all know what this is, man. It's rate reduction bond. They made it sound fancy. All right? But what was the rate reduction bond? No one asked them anything. No one. We just left it and said, okay, Perry said these big words. Whatever he's saying, that must be what it is. Because we don't understand this stuff, and how are we going to understand this stuff? Well, I'm going to go to section 17 and section 19, because guess what? The rate reduction bond has an act too. I bet you didn't know that. And so every deal they make, they have to go to Parliament, they got to make the contract an act. And that's how you could catch them. All right. So the rate reduction bond also has an act. But they ain't tell you that. See? All this stuff they was talking in the news, see, December 2019. Rate reduction bond, electricity rate reduction bond act, 2019. But guess what? The rate reduction bond is not an act. I'm going to show you what the rate reduction bond is. It was another slick way to steal from BPL what they legally cannot steal from BPL. The same way the UBP found a way to do it, the PLP and FNM have found ways to do it. And so let's go to section 17. All right, so we jumped in our time machine and we're coming back to the future. All right, there's so much I'm passing over here, but you just go read this for yourself. All right. Oh, I don't want to get to there yet. I want to show you what the rate reduction bond is. Let me go back. I want to show you where it is. Okay, skip over all this. Hold on. We come back to 17. Let me show you what the rate reduction bond is. All right, so all these definitions. All right, the Bahamas, the rate reduction bond is the issuer. It says Bahamas Rate Reduction Bond Limited. So hold on. The company known as Bahamas Rate Reduction Bond Limited is a non-profit company incorporated under Part 6 of the Companies Act for the primary purpose of issuing rate reduction bonds under this act and to carry out all other activities and acts permitted required by this act. So the rate reduction bond isn't some policy or some bond. That's a company they formed. They formed this company to issue bonds as relates to BEC because BEC can't do it. So they formed a middle company to do all this transaction, to swing the people. Because legally BEC can't get loans from nowhere. It can't issue any of its assets or etc. So they made a company and they created some fictitious assets out of nowhere because they can't touch assets with BEC. And I'm going to show you the fictitious assets. I can show you what they created as an asset of this. But I just want you to see this. So they did another fictitious company and call it the rate reduction bond to carry out whatever nonsense they wanted to carry out as relates to BEC because BEC can't do it. All right? And so they call it the issuer. Issued by government, the board of directors, the powers, the issuance of rate reduction bonds, the performance of any activities necessary, etc., to carry out of the activities, the action permitted required. The functions and powers of the issuer are issue rate reduction bonds in accordance with, etc., etc. All right? Apply the proceeds of the rate reduction bond, issue under accordance, whatever. Contract with a servicer for the servicing of rate reduction bonds, etc. So this company is doing it because BEC can't do it. All right? And so they make a fake company to deal with this. To make and execute contracts and other instruments necessary or convenient for the exercise of its functions and powers under this act. All right? Pursuant to execute relevant, necessary carry out the function of issue of contracts with the government, BPL, or any successor utility, a servicer, and notice the BPL. Now with BEC, they ain't getting close to BEC, because then it'll be close to breaking the law. So they did a subsidiary called a BPL, and then they're doing a rate reduction bond limited, which is another company. So, this is how the mafia and these white-collar criminals work. They make these shell companies in order to do their bidding. So they made this other company called rate reduction bond, and then keep repeating it to you as some fancy thing so it could do business with BPL. All right? And so that's really what it is. But you're going to get it as I keep going down. You're going to see some more. All right? Let's keep going. Their job is to pledge the security for the rate reduction bonds and the payment, ongoing financial, etc. Rate reduction bond property, the rate reduction bond fee. So in other words, they created something called a rate reduction bond property, and they kept referring to it. And so you might read this and say, what is the rate reduction bond property? Did they get to take some of BEC's property and use it as collateral for this thing? Required cash reserves, earnings from the investment and reinvestment of the reserves, etc., etc. But remember that rate reduction bond property. What is that? Since they can't touch BEC's assets, etc., etc., what is that? All right. The issuer shall, pursuant to Section 3, enter into contracts with BPL and whoever else. All right. And so let's continue. So a lot of talk about BPL in here. I'm going down. So I'm at 17. So I just wanted you to see all of this in the meantime. Prohibition on merger and guarantee. All right. The issues are consolidated, etc. All right. Duration. It shall not be dissolved until after the money, everything is paid off. Issuance and a rate reduction bond. So what is a rate reduction bond? Here it is. Issuance of rate reduction bond. This is Section 10. Rate reduction bonds are, in accordance with Section 30, non-recourse financial instruments or evidences of indebtedness issued under the pursuance of this act by way of indenture or other agreement or issuer. The proceeds which are solely to be used in accordance with Section 21 that are directly or indirectly secured by or payable from the rate reduction bond property. Okay, notice this carefully. That are directly or indirectly secured by or payable from the rate reduction bond property and other assets of the issuer. So now we need to find out what's the rate reduction bond property. All right? Because that's the whole big deal. Rate reduction bond financing order. All right? The minister and what he can do and this kind of stuff. All right? I'm going to skip over that. So I'm going to get to this rate reduction bond property, what that is. All right? Let's keep going. Keep going. Reports, yeah, it's supposed to do reports. They never do them. They haven't done them, but okay, this is Bahamas. All right, adjustments. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Almost there. Reduction bond. Okay. An adjustment of the rate reduction bond fee shall not affect the irrevocable nature of this order. Okay, I'll keep going. Bond, arranger, agreement. Okay, let's keep going. Time. All right. Now, this bond is irrevocable. In other words, they did it so that no one could come after them and stop this. So that's one of the things they put in place. But you can't bind a future parliament. That's the law. But they just did that. Duration. All right. So I just want to keep going. Almost there. Almost there. Where are we now? 20. We didn't pass 17. Hold on. We're supposed to be stopping at 17. Where's 17? Oh, I want you to see this here. Time of issuance, but I want you to see subsection 1. Nothing, notwithstanding any defect in the transfer by BPL of the rate reduction bond property to the issuer pursuant to Section 23, the issuer becomes vested in the rate reduction bond property upon receipt of the notice confirmation from the minister or such later date as specified in order. Now, they know you all can know that same. Despite the fact that they don't get nothing from the government, they don't get no the rate reduction bond property, they don't get nothing. This deal is still solid, and they still is just like they have it, even though it wasn't actually given to them. So in other words, even if nothing physical exchanges or nothing really happens, the thing still sticks, and it's just like you got it, even though you didn't get it. To me, that's almost a criminal part they added in there. All right, because remember, they can't really get anything from BEC because they're not supposed to touch anything in BEC. All right. So let's go down to just the purpose of the rate reduction bond. All right, application of the bond is only for paying this and paying that, to purchase rate reduction, etc. Now, and they may take the additional funds and they could say what they could do with the additional stuff. But this is where I want to take you. Important. Creation of rate reduction bond property. So what is a rate reduction bond property? A vested and presently existing property right, title, and interest in and to the rate reduction bond fee shall rise upon the making of the minister's order unless otherwise provided in the order, and such property right, title, and interest shall reside in BPL. So what is this? It's a vested and presently existing property right, title, and interest in and to the rate reduction bond fee. So remember, they added a fee to your bill and called, because they already had a fuel surcharge, they added a fee to your bill and called it the rate reduction bond. So they was adding something to the rate, but they called it the rate reduction, which was a lie. That's like when Bush called it the Patriot Act, when it really was taking away the rights of the people. So the rate reduction bond property is that fee that they were charging. So that fee is the property that they were taking a hold of. So they couldn't really touch BEC's money. That's why they got to do a fuel surcharge, because they can't touch BEC's money or any of its assets. They have to have something separate that they add that they're getting through BEC, but it's not touching BEC's assets, which is his money, directly. But this is a fee they added. And that's the reduction bond property they're talking about. The property right shall, a title and interest referred to in subsection 1 constitutes the rate reduction bond property which shall subsist. All right? Nothing, notwithstanding the value of the amount of the property is dependent on future costs, etc. And so the rate reduction bond was just a fee. And again, they had to do a fee because they can't touch the assets of BPL. So all this maneuvering and jockeying and jogging that you see them doing and jousting, this is because they can't really touch BPL and they know it. But they know that you don't know it. And that's why the F&M and the PLP, because Pintard and all them know it, the F&M and the PLP have been deceiving you. BPL has been being raped. They started out with this debt, and they continue to find ways to put it in debt, and they find ways to get more money from it, but they add additional fees to it and make you pay it. And so they continuously get loans for BPL, but they can't get loans for BPL from anywhere except the government. So the government will find a slick way to get a loan from somewhere else and then charge you. So the government would take money. Remember when I showed you how they get money from NIB? They would take money from NIB and give it to BPL or BEC, whatever you want to call it. And NIB is considered the government. So it's not really anyone else giving a loan to, because they can't just give a loan to them directly. They'll take that money and they get it from the government. And then the government does a fuel surcharge to make you pay back the money that BEC owes it. Is this starting to make sense? I hope it is. I had to go a long way around because they set it up to be complicated. I'm trying to explain this in the best way possible. Now, that rate reduction loan that you saw me scanning through, that was transferable. So it started out with Corbin or whatever the company's name is, and then they transfer it to whoever they want and make it disappear so that you can't track who's getting that money. And so one, BPL cannot be sold. Its assets cannot be touched. Any part of it cannot be touched. So what they did was form a subsidiary, and they're doing things through the subsidiary. And by doing things through the subsidiary, they are saying that BEC still owns it because that's their subsidiary. I think it can be challenged. But this is why after all these years, it just continues to be in debt. They're raping the company. They were buying these big generators and giving themselves a contract. You saw the arrest of Ramsey because these generators, they sign these under the table deals, and then the generators require a lot of parts, and they make money from the parts, and all this stuff starts to happen. And I try to put all of this information in a nutshell. I hope you understand better, but guess what I'm going to do? Just in case you don't, I'm going to open the phone lines as I continue so that you could call in and tell me what you think about what you just heard. And it's the F&M and the PLP that are participating in what you just saw. All right, the F&M and the PLP. All right, so I'm going to open the phone lines. So we had the broadcast will begin shortly on that this whole time. No one tell me. So I'm sorry. So the phone line is on there. 803-5995. 803-5995. Okay, the phone's ringing already. So it was on silent. Good afternoon. You are live.
Hey, Lincoln, how you doing?
I'm awesome. How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay, man. I just can't believe what I just heard, man.
Yeah, this is how they've been robbing us all this time. They started out with a Haiti deal where they got a loan and they were able to take money from the payments from the beginning, and they were raping this thing, and it never ended. And so it continued forever.
What did they do with the initial 11 million that was a crazy loan? I
don't believe that they ever paid that loan. There's no evidence that they ever actually paid that.
So what did they do with the money?
Because you see what they did in the latest rate reduction bond. They said even if it's never paid or nothing ever happens, that don't mean nothing. You also gotta give us this rate reduction bond, pay us. And so I believe that the 10 million, well, 11 million, but they said they only had to pay 10 million of it. That 11 million was never actually paid, but they were bound to pay the interest by year. That's what it appears.
And then the F&M come along with this evil thing they call an extra fee or rate reduction bond?
Yes.
Lord have mercy. Jesus help us.
So that's because they can't touch the assets of BEC. And so they've been raping and robbing the people using BEC. So the same NIB and BEC that they use to rape and rob you, they're making us pay back for this. We got to stand up as a people.
Yeah, we really do.
All right, man. Thanks for your call.
Okay, man.
All right. Okay, sorry about that. Phone was on silent. All right, 803-5995 is the number. 803-5995. You can WhatsApp call. Yeah, you can WhatsApp call or you can call on the regular line. WhatsApp call or call on the regular line. 803-5995 is the number. And so these politicians never explain this stuff to you because they are gang raping the Bahamian people. They don't want you to know the truth. So that $291 million, we started out in the hole. That monopoly couldn't even catch up. Because they continually, because they can't do everything in one night, because the live will be too long. They continually found schemes. Those aren't the only schemes that they did as it relates to BEC. I just use those examples to teach you. There was more. Good evening, you're live.
Hello?
Yes, you're live.
Hey, how you doing, my brother?
I'm awesome.
Man, listen to me. Mr. Dane, what you just released to the Bahamian people, I think every Bahamian should be turning over, even those dead ones in their grave should be turning over on what they have done and what this government, the PLP, and the FNM backing them on the criminal act. That they are criminals. That's what this is. I cannot believe what I'm hearing, Mr. Bain. I cannot believe that. But I always know, because when Bradley Roberts was alive, I confronted Bradley Roberts on Blue Hill Road. And I said to him, let me tell you something. I said the interest, our security deposit money that you all hold that is not your own. Who benefits from that? The Bahamian security down payment on their that belongs to the Bahamian, and you're getting interest on that. Why we cannot benefit from that interest that belongs to the Bahamian people? And then I think, I'm not too sure, I think I was able to get some movement in that area and was giving Bahamians something. But that is something to look at also, Mr. Dane.
Yeah.
We pay a profit down and they're holding it.
Forever.
BEC. And so think about that. And I think that, before I hang up, I think also believe that, I don't know what we can do. Can we put them in court to have them? Because it sounds like this is a case that we can contest in court and really win this case. But the Bahamian people actually own it and what they are doing. And so, my brother, let me say this to you. Continue to do. See, information is power. And when we are being empowered with truth and information, then the minds of people will be set free. You see, most of what these political leaders have done, they sow a mind virus into the minds of ignorant people. But thank God for you, my brother. Continue to open the eyes of the Bahamian people. Love you, my brother.
Thank you.
I believe will be the next government in this country. God bless you, brother, and have a good day.
God bless you too, man. God bless you too. And so Bahamas, they are doing all this jockeying to sell the pieces, the valuable parts of BEC, for those of you just tuned in, because they can't sell BEC legally. And so they're trying to piece it up, to cut it up into pieces and gut it and leave the shell and make us pay more. That's what they're doing. That's why they started doing the generation. Notice how the generation didn't make sense. All right, if BEC is a company that is supposed to generate electricity, why would you let someone else come in there and generate electricity and sell it to us? That's like, I have the restaurant. I inherited from my daddy. My daddy said, can't never sell it. That's why I gave you that example in the beginning. And so what I do is I let someone else cook the food in the kitchen, and then I buy the food from them to sell to the public. Would I have a restaurant? That don't make no sense. Good afternoon, call you live.
Yes, calling from Freeport, sir. Are you aware with inland security, sir?
Inland security?
Yes, sir.
What part of it?
Well, I mean, I purchased a piece of property quite some time now, and I've been trying to get my papers from the bank now for the last probably year or so. And they tell me I have to go to inland security.
Okay.
The bank manager told me, said it wouldn't be any fee. when I access it through the internet and everything, because the people at Inland Security, I don't think they're very helpful with helping people because a lot of people are not computer savvy.
Yes.
And I was able to get everything transferred to them, and then they turn around and tell me, say, we have to pay a fee in order to get our papers. And I bought this property some 20 plus years ago. So I don't know what Mr. Perry Christie them was thinking, but they sure find a way how to squeeze the money of the people and then find a way to charge them for something that they already paid for.
Yeah. I think you're talking about inland revenue, but my brother, the only solution is to remove the PLP and F&M.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
I heard, someone was talking about the courts, etc. All of the judges were appointed by the same politicians. I want you to wake up.
We have a serious problem, man. Because if I having problems to get my papers after some almost 20 plus years, I can imagine people who just getting something. They probably will never get it because the lady telling me now that they'll have to call me back to get my papers and it will be a fee.
Yeah, but hold on, but bro, I wanna talk about BEC. I don't want to get off topic today.
No, but no problem. I just wanted to touch that, and I'm glad you talking about money, so that's why I brought it in. And thanks again for even taking my call.
Of course, anytime, man. All right, and so this is the kind of stuff that's happening in our country. We getting raped and robbed every direction. Everywhere we look, they're raping and robbing us. All right, so I know it took long for me to explain all that, but I gotta bring the documents. I can't be like other people who do little sound bites. Cute little sound bites for what you call it, TikTok or whatever. I gotta teach you the good way. You're live. You're live. Good evening. You're live.
Hey, I'm sorry, I got the call again. I just have to ask this question. We have all of this money we just get from the carbon credits. We got like 11 point some, like $347 billion.
Yes.
Why they just don't pay off the debt, pay off all these debts, so they don't have to do this stuff? Why would they go to this stuff to selling off valuable companies that making money inside the country to do this? This don't make no sense.
Remember what I told everyone about my meeting with Brave Davis before the 2021 general election, when we were trying to get them to second our bill that we were tabling in the House, all right, for Bahamians to benefit. Brave Davis said to me that everything that I'm saying about the carbon credits, excuse me, and the natural resources is true. But he said, you can't let the people have it. He said, because then they're going to need you. All right. And he made it clear to me. And I told everyone this before election that he would not let the Bahamians benefit. He said he's old school. He's going to give it to a few people and let them provide the jobs. He made that clear as day to me. All right. And I told everybody, nobody listened. And as soon as he got in, what do you see him do? Took away the sovereign wealth fund. They're taking away everything from us. The carbon credits. Brave, even though he told me that it was real, it was true, etc., he came to the public and said, oh, Lincoln being selling dreams. Don't listen to these people selling dreams. We can work for what we want. Don't worry about them.
But can he be that evil? Can he be that evil that he can allow the country just to go down in flames just to keep the money?
They prefer to be wealthy in a broken country than for you to come up and be equal to them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They feel that they won't be able to control the people unless they're poor. You see how when you go to people's house, they say, well, what you give me? What you give me? Do something for me. See, they create that culture because they steal the money from the people. And so when they come and give you back some of that money, they steal from you, that $50, that $200, you feel like they did so much for them. That they did so much for you.
But they creating the crime wave too, because people suffering, everyone going on committing crime just to make a living.
They don't care. Nothing that affects the general public affects them. Remember, either they're in power or their friends are in power. They're working together. FNM and PLP is one. All right? They don't have to go to the hospitals you go to. You're seeing that. They go away. All right? There's children who have to go to the schools your children go to. All right, they don't have to worry about the price of cars, the duty, because we giving them a car, we giving them cell phone, we giving them everything. They don't have to worry about nothing. They have exemptions as it relates to customs, major exemptions. All right, they're living in a different country from us. Their neighborhoods won't be affected like your neighborhoods will be affected by crime, etc.
But Lincoln, if they just they even have to give the whole 11 million. Just half of that would take care of all these problems.
Listen, why would they pay half of that when they could give you crumbs and you could still vote for them? If they could come in the neighborhood and give out little crumbs, give little raise here and there, all right? If they could do that, why would they give you more than that and then can't control you? They're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Keeping you poor is what keeps them in power. All right, my brother. Everybody remember this, and I'm going to repeat this until you all actually get this. Knowledge is not power. Ignorance is power. I've said it again. Knowledge is not power. Ignorance is power. They are powerful because of your ignorance. You buy a can of Coke soda because you don't know how to make it. If they know how to make a can of Coke and you know how to make a can of Coke, their knowledge of making a can of Coke won't empower them because you could do it too. You not being able to do something, to know how to do it, when they know how to do it, is what empowers them. That is why they keep us dumb. That's why they don't teach civics in school. That's why they won't teach you the law. That's why they won't educate you. Because they want to keep you dumb. So they can continue to rob us. They can lie to you and you will believe them. We got to wake up. And so their whole plan is going to be to take their trolls and send them on social media to just start throwing mud. To talk about myself, Maria, about Charlotte, Dr. MacGyver, the people who are trying to educate the people. To talk bad about the COI. Because they're afraid that if we educate you, they can't control you no more. That's the fear. They fear us more than anything else. They don't fear the money, They fear if people listen to what Lincoln Bain is teaching them every week. They know that they're in trouble. Dr. Miles Monroe said the greatest enemy of man is not Satan. It is ignorance. We have to stop going back and forth. PLP, F&M. Nothing works. I called Steve McKinney's show the other day. What was his name? Darren Hanfield was on there. And he's bold to show his face again in this country after what they did to the Bahamian people. They're bold. Take this call. Good evening, you're live.
How's it going?
Awesome, man.
Alright, so just want to say right quick, listen to the podcast and listen to it live. We basically doing the same thing with the white people. They basically doing the same thing that the white people are doing. They saw line, they saw future for them. So they told them that they have to pay for the line that they already own. You also saw that commercial that they did on Facebook. It was so funny that the white man came to the Indian. It was like, go on, you need to pay you for the line you already own.
I could hardly hear you. It's loud in the back of you. And you might be talking on speakerphone.
Okay. Okay, hold on. You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, it's just like the Indians, when they tell the white people, you want me to pay you for the land I already own. Basically what I'm saying is they repeating the same thing with the Indians and the white man. It's like me going on somebody else's property or land and see all this fruit and come back to my people and say, hey, we could go over there and get these machines and reap and we could sell back to the people.
Mm-hmm.
They already have the fruit on their land, but they bring the machinery to do this mass production and sell it to the same people who already own the fruits in the land. That's what's happening to us on our beaches. These cruise ships, these hotels, and everything coming into the Bahamas saying we can give them a job when we could have given ourselves a job or be entrepreneurs or give our family jobs and hire the foreigners, like the same thing like what you're saying. And that's exactly what's happening. They come over here, see our beach, and say we can take their key and take their land and take their beaches. We don't have nothing for ourselves to say all the vendors set up and let's tell the taxis to bring them this way because we control this beach and we could make some money. Yeah. There's actually nowhere Bahamians could do that. But the foreigners could do it everywhere because they have rights to every beach in the Bahamas. Yeah. But not one Bahamian have rights to any beach to say set up table and let's help the Bahamian people and sell to the tourists that come into this land. Think about that.
All right, but I want to talk with BEC tonight, my brother.
Okay, sorry about that.
All right, thank you, man. All right, I want to keep us focused on BEC, not all those other stuff. Just tonight, just one night. All right, good evening, you're live.
Good evening, Mr. Bam.
How you doing?
My call. The previous caller, I can relate to what he's talking to. I have something I want to say into that, as to add to that. Morton Salt has been in the Bahamas for years. We use that as an example. It's been mining salt in the Bahamas for years. I saw salt being shipped to the U.S. from the Bahamas, tons and tons, large loads going to the United States to salt the streets during the wintertime from Morton Salt. They use some of that salt, they grind it up, they bring it from the Bahamas, grind it up, put it in boxes, and ship it back to the Bahamas, and we buy it. Why isn't there some sort of in place that Morton Salt sells a certain amount of that salt to the Bahamas, it doesn't leave the Bahamas, and if they ship it back, they ship it back at a cost that's affordable. A box of salt and a Morton Salt in the Bahamas, I don't know how much it costs.
All right, my brother, I want to talk about BEC tonight, all right? We can talk about all them other stuff another time. We can target everything in the coming weeks. We can target a lot of different stuff. I want to talk about BEC tonight. I want to keep us focused, all right? Go on our website. There's some documentaries on there. One of them, the last one, the finale, talks about Morton Salt. We showed the documents, how they only pay $500 for this 50,000 ton shipment. All right, so we dealt with all this stuff. Go on our website, all information is right there. I want to show you something else about BPL. They're talking about selling the distribution, etc., the generation of our electricity to Pike, this company that seems to have some connection to the PLP some kind of how. All right, but Pike isn't one of the big electric companies in America. They're not even in the top 10 or top 20 or maybe not top 30, nothing. All right, there's a company that I guess have some connections to the politicians. But I want you to see this Pike company. All right, they're not much different than BEC. All right, they're in America where there's potential for millions of customers in any state or city, and their revenue is $810 million. The revenue of BEC is $500 million. So there's not much difference there. All right, so see it right here. You're looking at it. Pike, how is it that they can come and take us over? Their revenue, at last they were reporting, well, that's 2014. Let me bring it up closer to you. See if I can get it closer. Yeah, their revenue here. Close all this. I hope y'all can still see this. Their revenue, okay, yeah, you can see it, is $110.7 million. All right, $110.7 million. This is 2023. All right, so BEC is doing in this small market $500 million. In the big markets that they're in, with their 4,145 employees, all right, they're only doing $810 million. So shouldn't we be more profitable? Shouldn't we be taking over electric companies in other countries around this region? What's happening here? But we can't make a profit, and their profit from this is about 100 million. Why aren't we making any profit? All right, so if I go back to their previous numbers, that's their revenue, 110 million. So it stayed roughly the same over all this time, apparently. The cost of their revenue is 706 million, and their gross profit is 103 million. And so that's a gross profit that they make. All right. So then they get to operating expenses and all this kind of stuff and break it down even more. Net income, 13 million. Wow. So their net income, when they take out their expenses and everything else, is 13 million. So you're going to take our company and give it to them? They ain't doing much better than us. So why y'all keep giving away the good that we have? We have a government that can't run an airline. The airline is bankrupt every year. Can't run a electricity company with a monopoly. Pike don't have a monopoly. They have competitors, and lots of them. See their competitors here? Yeah, see? Pike competitors in the places where they are. They have Summer Utilities that makes 940 million. Osmosis Holdings makes 550 million. That's the same as BEC. All right. This WA Kendall and Company makes 500 million, same as BEC. Track Utilities only makes 52 million. This other one makes 9 million a year. Florence and them 29 million. So this is the competition. JF Electric 210 million. So BEC is actually bigger than some of these American companies, to be honest with you, in terms of revenue. Just the way of managing it. That's the only problem. So, ladies and gentlemen, we need a shift of mindset. BC needs to be run like a corporation and not run by the cabinet of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. All right? Yes, the government is lousy. Nothing works. Now they're talking about bringing in ambulances. Let's see who gets the contract. That's what you got to follow, you know. They let you suffer and suffer and suffer until it reach breaking point, because you could vote for them anyway, and so that they could come right before election and give you what you was crying about. So you feel they did the world for you. They had you suffering for 20 years without ambulance, 30 years, 50 years. So now they could bring some ambulances, make sure their boy get the contract for it, and say, see, we brought ambulance. Pat us on the shoulder. Like how one of their boys get a contract, had to be, because only an idiotic government would buy trucks to do police patrols in. Someone had access to some trucks, man. They bought trucks to do police patrols. Gas guzzlers. And we talking about climate change. Nothing makes sense in this country. Now they want to compare today to the 1930s and say, see, we used to have outside toilets. You used to have to bathe in the ocean. And this. You don't hear that, man. We want a country that works today. Since Pillin is gone, the vision is gone. But before he gone, the vision was gone. From the 80s roll around, the vision for this country was gone. We have a new and bright vision. We're going to be selling electricity to our neighbors. We're going to harness the power of the sun like Australia did with Singapore. Australia built a big solar panel because Singapore don't have space for it. They built a big solar plant. They ran a 4,000-kilometer cable to Singapore under the ocean, and they're supplying power to Singapore. We are going to sell, and we've shown you, document how we're going to do it, where we're going to do it, where the cables can run. We've shown you all of this. We're going to run Cuba, sell them electricity. Run cables to Haiti, sell them electricity. Turks and Caicos, even Florida. We can sell them electricity. So we can continue to celebrate failure like we're celebrating Chester Cooper selling out our country to foreigners. Look at how much jobs. Come on, man. We need a different mentality. The youth of this nation are being told that they're overqualified. Our country is falling apart. I need to ask you to stand with me as we build something for our future generation, not just for us, but for our future generation. Something that they could come home to. You're going to lose your country if you don't stand up and wake up. You're right there to losing it. Stand with me. We're not going to get everything right. We're not going to be perfect, but we're going to stand up and fight for this that we have. So don't be distracted by the distractions out there. They were talking about us all this time and had all kind of stuff to say and what we should do, what we shouldn't do, who should be here, who should be there. No, let's stand together because we lose in this country. This is not about any one person, not even me. Let's not lose this one country that we got. All right? So that's all I wanted to touch on today. BEC cannot legally be sold. So they are piecing it up and sharing off the valuable parts of BEC because they cannot sell it. I know that's a bombshell tonight. But what's going to be the real bombshell is if you let them get away with it. What's the solution? Come join us and help us transform this government. Come join us. Sponsor the movement, fund the movement, help us to stand up and fight. If you want to fund the movement, click on one of these links and fund the movement. All right? You can click on the link that's on your screen. If you're watching on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you're watching, just click on the link. Click on it. Help us fight this fight. Help us fight this battle. It's going to take all of us to get this to happen. I keep telling you there's so much that I want to teach you about how they're raping and robbing this country. Did you see how much money they spent to stop me from getting House of Assembly? Because they don't want me to table certain things in the House. They don't want me to use the real powers of a member of Parliament to hold them accountable. They know if I step my foot in that door, they're in problems. Stand with us as we do this. We're going to be walking door to door. We're going to be touching every house. Join us. If you want to come walk with us, hit us up. The number is 804-4264. 804-4264. It's the number. Just send us a text and let us know that you want to walk with us, that you want to be a part of this movement. You want to help us get this done. Join our WhatsApp group so you know what's going on, because we have to talk all our business on live where everyone can see it, because that's how we get to our supporters. The number's on the screen to join our WhatsApp groups, 804-4264, or if you want to walk with us, if you want to be a part of us, whatever constituency you're in, if you want to help me, I'm hitting the streets. So we got to get this done. They're going to come with a lot of jobs and other stuff, to try to swing you. But if you want to settle for that again, then that's up to you. But we got to save our country, y'all. We got to do something. We got to save this country. All right? So these are the links. Click on those links. Support the movement. We're making this happen. I believe in this country, and that's why I continue to fight. Do you believe in this? Lincoln, please look into why Haitians feel that Bahamians owe them, why they feel they have the right to Bahamian citizenship. They don't feel that. They know that Bahamians don't owe them, but our politicians are selling out to them because it's a big money business. Don't you ever forget that. All right? Illegal immigration is big money. They pay thousands to be on that ship, thousands to get their work permit or whatever papers they need. They pay thousands of dollars. When they come on the plane, they pay thousands for that visa. And thousands to get paid after that. These are customers. They're making big money off of these people. All right? But we got to stand up. God bless you. I love you. We are going to win this. We're going to take this country and build something that all of our diaspora, all of our Bahamians living around the world can come and help us build. That our children can get education right here in the Bahamas, or if they choose to go to another country to get their education, they have something to come back home to. Let's stand up. Let's stand up. Stand with us. Stand with us. So, educate your family and friends about BEC. It can be sold, so they're trying to rape and rob it. You may have to call for a boycott of BEC, where we have a day, a blackout day, where we get as much people as possible to turn off their power, to let those foreigners who are going to take over our generation and Focal, which is PLP and FM, who's going to take over our generation, let them know, okay, just like how we had a bus boycott, and because of that bus boycott, they start doing sense. We need to have a day that we turn off our breakers and they don't make $1. Turn off your breakers. We need to organize that day and let them feel the economic pinch. What I showed you was that company making $800 million and their fees per kilowatt was less. Our fuel surcharge was 27 cents. That ain't the regular thing yet. BPL should have been making much more money. Why are they bankrupt? So blackout coming. We're gonna educate the Bahamian people, let them know what's going on, and we need to block this country out and let them know we're tired of the high fees. We're tired of this fuel surcharge, which is just a way to pay back the loan because they cannot take loan money out of BPL's assets or BEC's assets. That fuel surcharge was a different fee because of how the rules was written. And so we need to block them out and don't pay no fuel surcharge and don't pay no regular rate. Blackout coming. Thank you all for tuning in. Let's have a country where we have leaders who love this country. I want you all to stay focused. You're going to see some people with different issues rising up. I want you to ask yourself, why aren't they willing to work with other persons? Why aren't they willing to work with other persons who have been talking about the same things for all this time? I want you to wake up. If you see people pushing an agenda, but they don't want to work with other persons, that's because they have an agenda. I want you all to wake up. All right? Wake up. So they're going to try to push. You're going to start seeing some third-party people come around all of a sudden, and they want you to go with them and their agenda and come with them with what they're doing. Wake up, all right? That's all I'm going to tell you. They're going to have some plans to try to split the votes and hope that you fall for it. It didn't work last time. We got to make sure it don't work again this time. All right? Wake up and stay focused. All right? Stay focused. And so I'm calling on all of them who are like-minded. Come on. Let's get on board. Let's work together. Let's see how we could bring the change. That's how you do it. United. 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 So thank you all for tuning in. God bless you. We love you. We have one shot at this. Only one. If we don't get this right in this next election, that's it. Daily road to note. Talk to your friends. Talk to your family. Don't give up on them. Keep trying. The same way I don't give up on the Bahamian people. I keep going. We keep getting locked up. We keep doing what we have to do. We keep educating you. We're making powerful enemies because they're really weak. Let's keep going. Let's stay strong. Let's get together, unite, and take. We're not going to get Philip Brave Davis to give us our carbon credits. We got less than 2 minutes. We're not going to get Philip Brave Davis our carbon credits. We have to go and take it. Billions of dollars is involved. They don't care if you carry 100,000 people on Bay Street in March. You think they care? They say, boy, that was plenty of them, eh? You know what? Let's give them billions of dollars. No. Billions of dollars at stake? They will wipe all y'all out and start over with another group of people. They're already replacing y'all. The only way to bring change is to change the government. Let's get together, let's organize, and let's take this country back. All right? So, let's take this country back. That's all I'm going to say with that. So if you have people out there talking about they want to do this and that, tell them, yeah, go work with the people who've been out there fighting for us. Simple as that. So God bless you. We love you. And we'll see you soon.
You know, a lot of people wonder how Dubai became a very big, famous and rich city.
You see, if you're comparing with Nigeria, listen to this. Nigeria has oil before than Dubai. It's a history. They are more rich than us. They have agriculture, they have mining, they have everything, you name it, they have it. Am I right or wrong? When you have a true leadership, which we have nothing, but we have everything because we have the right leadership. That's the only thing you need, a right leader for your country, not corruption. That's what brings your country at the top. You don't need anything. We want water, we don't have agriculture, we don't have mining.
That's quite interesting.
And that's Sheikh Mohammed. Number one, he doesn't know number two, he needs only number one.
What happened in Dubai with the citizens?
Monarchy take care of their people and make sure that they're paid 2,000 per family, maybe 3,000. And life is cheaper there. Life is cheaper, but all the Dubai citizens are paid, very paid.
From who?
From the monarch, from the king.
From the king?
Yeah, from the king.
Wow.
Money comes in through the government. The government distributes the money to the people. And there are no poor people. They're like only
Dubai,
poor people in
you
Dubai
cannot be
are
poor.
those that came
No
from
poor
another
in
country.
Dubai.
No poor in Dubai.
Just like Kuwait. They get money, like almost like American Indian the casinos. The money goes out to the people. Okay? And the only poor people in Dubai or Kuwait are those who come from other countries to work for the citizens that are there.
Wow.
And in Israel, if you're a citizen, you get a lot of $10,000 and $50,000, but you have to wait per person.
Wow. Bahamas. It's happening around the world. In the Bahamas, we are a rich nation.
We are a rich nation.
And the Bahamas government refused to give us money. Change is coming to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
It's coalition time.
I wish all the best for Bahamas to be rich people. That's it.
Thank you.
To be the rich people in the world. That's what people think. We're rich people in the world.
Wow.